Welcome back, everybody, to the Weekly Intention with Michael Mulder. I'm so excited to today's guest. I actually wanted to get in front of this guy for a while because I think he's got a really, really interesting story. If you want to learn how to turn past trauma into future success, take massive risks early on in life, then I would stick around. This is probably a good one for you. Now, today, I'm actually joined by a serial entrepreneur, including a few huge bars in Milwaukee, right outside the Bucks Arena. Started this company called Ease, which is a workforce development remote staffing company. He's just really a serial entrepreneur, a super good friend, and I'm super excited to have Nathan Harris with us today. What's up, man?
Thanks for all the kind words. Honestly, it's a little bit humbling, and it's all happened by accident.
Yeah, by accident.
Yeah.
So you might not know this, obviously, but I'm a Midwest boy. I'm from South Dakota originally, and Nate is from Milwaukee. And I always find it interesting, the Midwest story from there to here, because it's such a different world, one. And two, it's just like reprogramming your brain to get to where you are, not only from an entrepreneurial space, but just like changing, your circle. And I thought that was a really good, place to start. I know you had started your bar really early on, but I'm really curious about, early upbringing, family, and, some of those things. So,
yeah, I mean, I always talk about my origin story because it's just super important for me because it really drives my purpose. And I think for a lot of people, I guess it is trauma, I guess. But to me also, it was just like the way of life and something that's inspiring to me to know that, like, I was raised by a single mother who really didn't know what she was doing. She had two boys that she loved, and she wanted to make sure she gave them the best opportunities that she could. So, imagine a woman that's 18 to 20 just has some newborn kids and separated from the dad, and she's got to go through school and raise two kids at the same time. So not everything was perfect. We were in some shelter called Bethany. Mom was really young. And what they do is they would take in women that were single moms trying to get on their feet and help them kind of figure out a plan. And my mom's plan was she was going to go to school. So she did that. She worked really hard. She got promoted, some great jobs. She kept moving us up as much as she possibly could and really leaning on kind of like faith in the church as kind of like a guide to persevere through that journey. But at a certain point, I think I was like 12 years old, you could start to see the stress and depression kind of taking a toll on her. I think that's over a decade of just grinding.
Just weighing on her and all the pressure of like making sure you have a good life. And
and just carrying the torch at the level that she did.
Yeah.
And she went through a traumatic upbringing. She was one of 11 kids. She was the oldest, and she had to basically raise her siblings her whole life. She went through poverty levels even deeper than me. So she had a lifetime of just stress. So that depression kind of took a toll on her. What ended up happening is she tried to commit suicide, and it really kind of shook up me and my brother. So because realistically, it was like we don't have an option to fail. We have no one else we can call. So if anyone does find out that we don't have anyone at home, we're probably going to end up getting separated. So we just decided not to tell anyone. And I'm 12, he's 14, and we're basically cashing my mom's checks that came in the mail for disability at the corner store. And they would like never say anything. They kind of, after like 6 months, are probably like, wow, this is weird. Like the lady never comes herself.
I'm sorry. Did this actually happen, or she attempted to do it?
My mom attempted to commit suicide.
Okay.
So she was in a psychiatric hospital for a while.
Oh my goodness.
And so my brother and I had to basically raise ourselves at 12 and 14. So like we have no parents at all. And like
that's crazy.
It was really crazy because my brother didn't like crumble. I didn't crumble. He knew he had to take care of his little brother, so he did what he had to do, and he got it done. And we still were going to school. We still were, expected to be top students. No one had any idea what was going on at home.
Of anything. Yeah,
No.
and that's crazy. I mean, you think about the burden of, one, you want your mom to have a good life. And, from a 12-year-old perspective, how can you even fathom what's actually going on? You don't even understand the weight of that pressure and then having to do that. So how long were you guys going to school and dealing with this while nobody knew what was happening?
Until our own dreams. And my brother was going a more traditional college route. I, didn't want to go that route. I didn't feel like a job could do enough to move us far enough forward. And my brain didn't work well enough like that. Like, I hate school. So for me, I just was like, all right, I'm going to make something of my own. So I decided to go more the entrepreneur route, and that's when things got really crazy because I didn't believe myself at first. I was really depressed and jealous a lot of times. Like, why did I grow up with no food and other people ate all they wanted? why do I have no Christmases? Other people have Christmas. Like, it was a lot of resentment at first. And then my brother helped me find my way to get my head out of my ass and think about life differently.
That's so crazy because my story is similar. It's not, my parents never tried to commit suicide. My parents split up when I was 9. I had some of those similar feelings, like, why does everyone else get a good family together and like get, one Christmas as a family unit, and why am I dealing with all these, hostility between, two parents? But I mean, I think that just goes to show you, like, you think that your problem is the worst. Somebody else has always got it, worse than you, one off. And then 2, that resentment, that's a hard thing for people to get over. A lot of people, you fortunately have been able to do that, but a lot of people, they never get out of that hole. Like, they're always just, this is my victim story. Like, this happened to me and this defines my life and this is who I am because of this instance. And I think what's most interesting is, you said you didn't want to go to college and you had this thing that propelled you forward and you found really your why, honestly. Like, you didn't want your family to suffer like that anymore. Did you know, like, automatically as a kid, you were like, I have to do this? Or was there like a moment where you were like, enough feeling sorry for myself, like it's time to man up and do what I need to do?
No, I didn't have that always. I mean, honestly, I was the troubled son that was also class president. Like, I had this like high level of potential, but poor execution. So like, that was like me. And then eventually after high school, I kind of got content kind of where I was at. I was like a receiving manager at Sears. I was lifting boxes and stuff, and I got a hernia actually. So then I've been in a hospital, lose my job. And then like, I'm like rock bottom. I'm like, God, what am I going to do now? And my brother basically had to give up a year of college, basically because without me helping him and my mom and really stepping up, he could never even move up in his dreams. So we realized, like, I had to step up. So for me, it was a realization moment that unless I stepped up, my family would be stuck in this cycle forever. So that's when I said, screw it, I'm going to try college. Didn't do well because once I got to Milwaukee, my eyes were on a different kind of prize. I started seeing real business, right? Because going from Racine, it's nothing going on there. Then I get to Milwaukee, and it's this growing city. I'm, like, standing up, like, at this bar called Blue, and I'm looking out the window, and I'm like, one day I'm going to have something down there. One day I'm going to do something to move the city forward. I didn't know what, but I just promised myself that I would make the city a better place.
It's so funny? Like, a lot of the things that you're saying, I had happen at a much smaller scale. Like, I grew up in South Dakota, middle of nowhere in the farm, and I used to look at the sky and be like, I don't know what's out there, but, like, there's something out there for me. And I just kind of, like, felt that. And I feel like everybody has an internal voice or an internal compass that's propelling them forward, but some people just don't listen to it, They just quiet that voice or shut it up or just they don't listen to their true self, which I think destroys your whole life. It throws it off the path that it's supposed to go to. So you listen to your gut, you did what you felt like you had to do, and then you ended up in Milwaukee, which is obviously a big city. It's one of the biggest cities in, the Midwest compared to Minneapolis and Chicago and those. So then, you get to Milwaukee, you see this opportunity, and you have this feeling, and now you're 21 years old, where we had talked about you, taking this huge risk and buying this bar. I think when I was 21, I was not thinking about, putting an investment into something like that. I was still in college, drinking and getting my bachelor's degree. And I wasn't that college route. I did that first before I realized that this is not the path that I need to go on. So you had foresight really, really early on. How did you use that and propel that into the whole bar situation to take such a massive risk at such a young age?
Well, it was funny because I didn't even have any money to do that, right? I just had this skill. So I got really good at helping build retail businesses, bars, et cetera, by using digital marketing strategies. I really, really figured it out. So I was able to duplicate it, and I was selling these contracts to all these different bars until one guy said, if you quit all those bars, I'll give you equity to be one-to-one with me in this company. So I looked at their concept, and it was kind of flawed. I'm like, this isn't going to work. And that's what we want you on a team for. Come on board, bring your flair to this, and we'll give you a percentage of equity. So I quit all my other things, and I invested in this bar. And as soon as it happens, I started off terrible. I wasn't going to get paid. They'll sign my contract later. And then do you do all this work 100 hours a week, and and then we'll pay you once we open or something? It's some terrible, terrible deal. I should have never said yes.
Just jerking you around and stringing you
Oh,
along.
I believed it, right? I'm like, yes.
Young, dumb kid. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Sounds
all right.
good. Like,
yeah.
I quit everything. I own a bar now. So all of a sudden, like a year goes by, I'm leading construction projects. I'm hiring staff, and all this crazy stuff's going on. I'm like, man, this is not part of director of marketing role. But eventually, like, nobody was getting the shit done. But I had a background in operations. I had already been a manager at UPS. So, like, I know how to run a business operation. So I, like, take upon myself to get all this stuff done. Finally, after years, like, we don't open still. Everyone's like, you're an idiot. You guys are never going to open. The construction project went from supposed to be $800,000 to $3 million. I mean, there were so many things, and the Bucks sucked at the time. They were like the worst team in the entire NBA.
Nobody wanted to go out
No,
there.
so the Bucks arena was like behind us in a kiddie corner, but like I'm waiting for it to fall down.
Everyone's like, oh, cool.
Cool.
Tickets for $20.
Exactly,
You
they
know?
paid you to go.
Yeah.
Like, so then, like, I'm sitting there like,
That's
all right, I'm
funny.
gonna open a bar right there in the area where next to us there was nothing but like some semi-trailers that were eventually going to be a high-rise building, and it was going to be called the Modern, like the tallest, luxurious building the city's ever going to see. So allegedly it was going to go right there, and then Carson's, this famous steakhouse from Chicago. None of that had happened yet, but I believe. 2 years happen, go by, we finally get to sign up, we open, and they fired me. No contract. Wasn't an owner.
Never signed it. You did all of the work.
Yeah, dude.
You did everything for
Everything.
them, and they just
And
you quit all the other jobs, put all your time into this for 2 years,
I
got it
just-
up to the point of running, and they're like, nah, sorry.
And they owed me like $100,000 at this point, and I literally they fired me. They never even had a contract and left me. Deleted my email, and I'm sitting in my condo with just a couch because I had just moved out of my apartment with my ex-girlfriend. I had just a couch and a TV. I didn't even have a bed yet. I thought I was about to be rolling in
And
the
you're
dough.
like 24 at this point, 23, 24.
I'm like 23. Yeah.
yeah,
Because
23.
it took like 2 years to get it built. So now I'm sitting here in the condo. I'm like, dude, I'm screwed. I got $300 in my bank account. I just signed a lease for an office. I got all this money I thought I was about to have coming. I thought I was about to get a $100,000 check. Nope. So then I wake up and I start saying, I absolutely fucking hate people. I'll never work for anyone ever again. Nobody else should have to. And you know what? I'm going to start a freaking community, and I'm going to make it a whole bunch of entrepreneurs and creative people that work together and they help each other grow business. And I'm going to build everything they need. Like if they need project management, everything, like I'm going to build it all for them. And I'm going to call it EASE. Entrepreneurs adapt and serve each other. Because honestly, I don't care about, nobody should have a job. Everybody should be self-employed because that's the only real job security. So like that was my vision. And I start this thing, and in like months it starts rolling. And I'm just watching that bar fall apart. They couldn't get it going. They're failing.
I heard, I mean, this is two massive things already, and you're like 23 years old. And the second thing that I heard you say, like, that I want to, I guess, like, break down for everybody is I think success is when preparation and opportunity kind of meet each other. So you had found this opportunity, you made the best of it, and while it didn't work out, you got all those skills. Like, their bar failed because they didn't know how to run it without you, but you built all of those skills that they couldn't take away from you, and then you used that perspective to carry yourself on. And I think that's something that a lot of people who are listening need to realize is that even if that certain situation doesn't work out, like, that doesn't mean you're a failure forever. Like, that's just one
It's hard to
situation.
deal with too.
That's hard. Yeah. You don't want to fail. I mean, you don't want to fail in front of other people. You don't want to fail to yourself. You know, you don't want to. Nobody likes failing. I mean, you hate it, but the only way to have lasting success is to use those skills and not quit. If you let that define you and you're 23, you know, where would you be right now?
Probably had to go back to college and keep working. And the best thing is too is when you're on that journey, right, and then you get hit with a roadblock, you're gonna hit the wall, but you got to keep moving. That's why they say fail fast, right? So fall, fail fast, get back up, keep moving. Because say it happens earlier on in the book. Say in the first chapter of a book you fail. You've got all the rest of the chapters to keep walking and keep growing. You know that the next chapter's got to be better than this one because this is bad, right? So that's really where perseverance and foresight kind of meet, and you can do some amazing, amazing things. Because when that happened to me and I had EASE, as that bar starts to fail, it happened in August. I got fired. By I think it was November, I had gotten a phone call saying, like, because I had just thrown this Halloween party. It was 1,000 tickets I sold, literally, while building this technology company. Like, within 2 months of being screwed by them, I made $30,000. And I was like, I've never made that much money in my life. I'm 23. Then I just kept making more money. do a 1,000-person Halloween party that would gross like 70 grand. And it caught their attention. They were like, that's the guy we fired. I never would say anything bad about the bar. I just let them die. I get an email to a courtroom, and they basically bring me into a courtroom, and one of the partners said, hey, it wasn't me that screwed your contract up. It was him, and we would like you to be judge deemed as the operator of the business because they sued each other, got a restraining order, and they put me in charge of the company that I had just been fired from. The judge did. So it was my job to run the operation during the sale of the business. So I got back in the company, right? So literally as it's happening, I literally in the courtroom like, fuck you guys. So I get given the company with the equity clause where if I grow any revenue over 10% of the goal that we have set for, which is $90,000 a month, if anything over that, I get to buy out shares. So in 8 months of the judge put me in there, they aren't even halfway through their court case yet. I take the place to $250,000 a month, $250,000. That's over 250% execution. And I did so well that I ended up kicking out the other partner, buying his equity out.
Just buying him out, right?
Yep. And then the next partner went on for years and more to open up a second bar with him. Didn't work out. He was also part of the original problem, and I found that out. So then I got him out of those businesses. In just July of last year, I fully bought out all my original partners and sold 60% to my new partner, who is absolutely amazing. So the moral of the story is because I did the right thing and continued to persevere, I eventually took the plate that I used to try to eat off of and then serve somebody else up. Like I completely took their business after they had did me unjustly. By doing the right thing, I literally now own the gateway to the Milwaukee Bucks arena. I didn't have money to do it. I was able to do it through execution, scaling the business, having contracts in place that eventually were worth millions, yes. So now I'm making money. But then I didn't have money. I just knew better than they did.
Yeah. That is, I don't even know how to put that in words better than you did, but, if you take the high road and you don't, take time being petty and just doing the wrong thing and going after somebody, people don't realize that's just going to take from you and pull from, your energy that you could be spending on executing on something better. Like if you would have just went after those guys, you would have wasted money, resources, time. But by you taking the high road and just bouncing back from it, now you own the thing that they couldn't even do. Like that's crazy, bro.
It was intense, and I never thought that would happen. That's why I always have faith too, though. It's like, man, because of X, I think that I'm always going to get rewarded. Because even now, things are still hard. Like it never gets easier ever.
It's always hard.
Yeah, you just learn and bend differently, right? Instead of breaking, you bend. So like even this week, I'm like, all right, I got to fundraise. I got to run my bars. I got to do this event company. I got all these different businesses I run. I have over 100 employees now. And one thing that I noticed is like it's not what I expected. Like I thought, man, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to have different companies. Like I'm going to be the man. But then you realize one thing is the pressure of how many mouths you have to feed. Like I'm responsible for 100 Christmases. So like if I fail, guess how many kids cry? Like I can't fail.
It's not just on you, but that also gives you a purpose much larger than yourself. When you and I've struggled with this for a long time. I feel like I've just figured this out in the last year or so. Like when you don't realize that your purpose is greater than yourself and you're always focused on just you, it's a very selfish way to live. It's a very like ego-driven, like angry, narcissistic way to live. But when you can get outside of that and realize that I had this pain growing up in my life, I had all these bad things that happened to me, and I don't want this to happen to somebody else. Now you're being selfless. So you feel good because you feel good about what you're doing. And when you feel a true purpose and you feel selfless in what you're doing, like it's still work, but like you don't wake up thinking, I hate doing this.
No,
like
never. I mean, I think the thing you think about is why. You ask yourself why a lot more. And then your objectives, like now, my job isn't to do all the work anymore. It's how do I inspire my team members to be better versions of themselves? Like how do I create a launch pad too? Like most people aren't coming to a company to keep a job until they retire anymore. That's the thing of the past.
Yeah.
They're looking for diversified opportunities, which means they want to come to you to learn a set of skills that will launch them to the next chapter of their life. So that's why I say, hey, you got to have a launch pad mentality when bringing talent into your organization. And I preach about this so much because that's every part of people's lives, like your professional life and your personal life. Everything you're going through is just different launches to the next chapter. Because the person we envision ourselves as, like, we all have an image of who we want to be. But that person, you can't just like make him out of putty and tomorrow he's there. You have to build little layers. You have to put on different pieces of armor. You got the gauntlets, you got the boots. Like, you really got to build up to those things to really be a complete version. So I think that that's really what people got to realize is like little bits of pain lead to like a great level of success.
That's gonna be a clip for sure. what you just said right there, that was beautiful, man. No, I 100% agree with you. You know, you get so focused in your struggle and your pain. It's like, when am I gonna be something? You know, when am I gonna get somewhere? And you just get so frustrated. You know, even with this, I'm like, dude, I started out doing this on my iPhone, like with a ring light in my living room. I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And like, you just have to stick with things long enough to see them come to fruition. And you have to realize that, you know, that failure and that lesson that you're learning every day, it's all a launch pad. If something didn't work, like, and you gave it your all, there's a good chance that you probably weren't meant to do that thing. And, you know, I'm not a huge Gary Vee guy, but he always talks about tasting a lot of foods, tasting a lot of things. Like, how do you know what you're truly passionate about or what your purpose is if you're not trying enough things to be successful? So
I think the thing is like with trying things too is you got to lean into, and you have to be self-aware. So my self-awareness comes from every morning I have these gratitude moments where I go on a drive. I really listen to myself, talk to myself, and like make sure that I'm always in check with my being. And then from there, I start thinking about, does what I want to represent in the world, is that represented in my actions, in my work, in my personal life, my romantic life? Like, are my values represented in my world? So I think that if you could start looking at things that match with your values, you'll achieve so much success because it'll just be you being yourself. Like, everything I do, from ease to the bars to what I do at my events, is all because I like creating experiences for people, positive experiences both in the workplace and outside of it. And I've always created experiences. I was a hip hop dancer as a kid. And that's how I got to be known as Nathan the Dream Harris. Like, that's how
I've seen you dance before. The first time we met, you were dancing like crazy. I remember that.
Dancing is my thing. Like, so like, but the thing is like I've always leaned into entertainment. I like to create experiences that are memorable and lasting. So every time I wake up, that's what I do. So that's where also like, okay, well then in a company, I probably am going to thrive most in creative, innovative marketing ideas, right? Concepts, conceptualizing. But I won't be really effective in those day-to-day repeat redundant tasks, right? Because that doesn't match with my behavior types. So like really understanding yourself. I use DISC, DISC.
Yeah, I've taken that assessment
and
like a year ago.
Yeah, behavioral assessments, things like that. Like, I'm always taking them and also meeting with people and reading about things that identify with me having a better self-awareness. And if you've ever read Daniel Pink's book, When, or Daniel Pink's book, Drive, you're going to learn so much about you. And those are the things that help you learn what jobs are for you. Because if you even take on a job, an opportunity, or someone speaks an opportunity, and you're like, that won't match with my identity, so I don't think I should take it. That's how you know when you're doing the right thing.
I want to unpack all that because you just had like 3 good points within that. You know, number one, speaking from the heart, like you listen to your heart. You do things that are in congruence with who you are. You take time in the morning, every morning, to get that mindset locked in. I know if I have a bad day, I think back to it and I'm like, yeah, I didn't do my morning routine this morning. Or I didn't take that 15, 30 minutes to really like, you need that. I mean,
100%.
you really, really need that time. And I did take the DISC assessment like a year ago. I think it's like the direct,
it'll tell you your dominance. There are 4 dominants, or 4 areas, and you have to have 2 dominants. So like a DC or something like that. And then from there, you can predict behavior types. And from there, you can also help build teams around that. And that's largely what the technology of ease is based upon. So that's why I'm so passionate about it, is we're always studying psychometric behaviors and figuring out how we can use them to better match talent from our ecosystem to companies. So like that's where like I know that when I'm tackling that problem, right, we're talking with behavioral scientists, data scientists, I'm able to think between the layers of the onion because that's my identity. Like I literally live and breathe trying to understand human behavior. So then when I go into marketing, those conversations are the same study, but a different angle of human behavior.
Isn't it funny how when you're living your truth, like how things just flow to you when it comes to you? When you're not living your truth and you're doing things that you're not passionate about, it's just like, it's very forced. You know, you're not into it. You're trying to like think about things that aren't really there. But when you really care about what you're doing and you're making a difference in your purpose, it just like, it comes to you. The creativity comes to you, like the passion comes to you, the execution comes to you. It's just like it all comes together.
Yeah, that's true because like it's you, right? Like you're following, you're in sync. You've figured out your ego. You figured out every layer of who you are, and that's why don't forget about those psychology classes. Like, really be self-aware because that what makes it worth it. Because literally, like what I do today, I would die for, right? The ability to create opportunities and jobs for people that may not have had access to them, regardless of geographical area or access to jobs from other reasons. Like I love knowing that wow, like I can make a difference through what I do every day. So like if I die tomorrow, at least I have a legacy, right? Like something that lives on even after me. Like I've got legacies now, and those are my companies, and those are the things that happen because of my businesses.
And I think that's a good segue because, I'm thinking about what's the big takeaway from you. And number one, it's overcoming your trauma and not listening to the stories of what other people tell about you. And two, being a serial entrepreneur, like you're balancing so many hats and you're constantly like in flux. And I was wondering, on the way over here, what is the reason that he's a serial entrepreneur? Like, how does he balance that? Like, why does he keep going? And I feel like you're really, really in tune with your why. You had bad experiences growing up. So number one, you don't want to see other people hurt that way. And you want other people to have a good time and have good experiences. So everything that you do is at the heart of you. Like I want people to have what I didn't have. Is that...
Yeah,
Is
honestly,
that on?
that's pretty damn spot on, and that's honestly what motivates the heck out of me. Right? It's like I love that positive energy and that positivity that I can create through everything I build. That's why I don't build any products that are unethical. Mm-hmm. Like everything I do has a representation, a story, and that's what I think drives me as a serial entrepreneur. But also, I've gotten a little wiser as I've grown as well. Like there's things you don't know until you actually get access to it. So like for me, like even when I'm starting an event company, well, I want to find a way to bring all these amazing people that I've met in my life from completely different walks of life and bring them all together, create fun in those times, but also allow them to get access to each other to create opportunities. So now, all right, I'll just start an event company that creates massively amazing experiences that are paid for by the members, and then I can literally monetize my social life. And that's like different layers that you don't think about until you have access to the ability to do it. So now that I've had my bar and I've had 10 years of success with it, now I've realized, okay, well, now I can get access to capital to open more. Well, do I just open another bar just to open it? No, I want to find and build things that are structured. So my next chapter is build an elite member club. Okay, from the elite member club, once it's built up enough of a community, why don't I just open a bar that's branded after the same name as the member club? It's like so now you can create your own Soho house. Like there's ways where like you just patiently know what you want to do next, so you don't force it, but you know what you want to do next. Like I know after Ease, like I want to sell that company in 3 to 5 years. Well, after I sell that, I know what I want to do next. I want to start designing like cities and commercial real estate. Like I have a plan, but it just happens as I see things I'm more interested in.
That's what I think people don't realize either, is that you see somebody that's very, very successful and they've done all these things and they just assume like, what does this person have that I don't have? And you have to execute on the thing that you're doing to get to the next thing. Grant Cardone always says, my whole life changed when I stopped looking for the perfect opportunity and I made the most out of every opportunity. And anytime because I'm in software sales and I work from home and I do my thing and I'm doing this. And anytime I find myself, feeling like complaining or feeling like my life is bad, I realize like this is the opportunity that I have to execute on first to get to the next opportunity. No one's going to say that you're fit to do something greater when you're not even excelling at the level that you're at. Mm-hmm. And people don't get that. It's like you're not just going to get handed a CEO role if you can't even handle, the account executive role.
That's so true, and a lot of people want to come in and take that title or start their company and have that title up there. I don't give a damn what my title is in any of my businesses. I'll take out the trash. I'll work and walk with you. I'll stress with you. I'll do whatever it takes. Like what I care about is, are we moving forward? Like I don't care what my title is. So people need to focus on execution all the time, not even for a period of time, because even once you succeed, right, when you go from I got $100,000 a year business, 200,000, 3 million, 5 million. When I got to that 5 million mark. And I really was like, oh my God, like I literally have more employees than I've lived ages on this, like years on this earth. Like I'm literally 25 years old. I got 75 employees. I'm like, whoa, when did this happen? So I started realizing, wait, out of 75 employees, I only have to interact with 4 of them, my managers. And then from there, they take my message and carry it down. And then I'm a positive spirit for my employees that work for me, but not directly for me. So boom, I've created an ecosystem that feeds each other and holds each other accountable.
Yeah, you put the right people in place. If you put the management in place that are in congruence and in line with your values, and they're going to hire people that are in line with those values, and then it's just going to keep spreading. You put all the bolts in place, and then you move on.
And that's how you can do a next business. If you don't do that part, you can never start the next thing. And that's why I still own so many businesses, because I always set them up. I don't sell them until the time is right, and then they don't need me anymore. It shouldn't.
You're insanely humble, and that's a common theme across people that I interview, because I have a certain degree of respect for people who are successful, but if they're super, egotistical, like just jerks, treat people like shit all the time, like I'm not really interested in interviewing those people. And I mean, you overcame a lot in your life too. How do you think you flipped that switch in your head to being, angry and really being able to let that go? Because that's one of the hardest things in the world to do, is to officially let that pain go. And I mean, just in your interactions with your girlfriend, with your friends and your employees, like, you're a very nice guy and you treat everybody with respect. How did you do that? How did you flip that page in your brain?
That's all my mom. My mom is literally like the sweetest, most innocent, most like amazing, God-fearing person you'll ever meet in the world. Like, that's like literally no matter what happens, she's always smiling. She's always positive. Like, and that's what she raised us to be. Like, even when we didn't have anything, we would be carrying groceries and like through the snow with our mom, and she'd be singing it all the way, because we'd walking miles as kids, groceries. Or like, we'd run out of food and we'd be like, there'd just be candles. Like, that's it. And we'd eat sugar rice. That's all we had. But she would always be like keeping us like happy. And like, that's what I think is me. Like, literally no matter what happens, like, I don't know why, but like, I still try to always stay happy and positive no matter what's going on. So I think that that's really what allows me to be humble, is because I'm actually happy. I'm not like trying to prove anything to anyone. Like, for me, just not to have to worry about where I'm going to have food, I made it in life at this point. Like, I'm set. Anything that happens after this is just a bonus. Like, I don't even believe like I have a car. Like, that's enough for me in life. So like, everything else is just a bonus.
That is such a great way to look at things. Like, that's such a glass half full mentality, and to be able to take that experience and, think about it that way, I think everyone can take something from that. I mean, being humble is everything. No one wants to follow a leader that's a jerk. Nobody really gets behind a person or believes in a person that acts that way. They'll listen to you over like money and leadership, but it's not being a true leader.
They're masking a lot of times. So like, what is the point of doing harm if you are actually truly happy? Like, if you really love what you do and you are fit to be in the role that you're in, then there should be no animosity amongst teams. Like, everybody should just be inspired and be like fully in their creative selves. Like, wherever it is that you immerse yourself in, let them lean into that. And the only time you have to leave it force is in the times where that person probably needs to just be separated from the business. Or if you're both deeply passionate about something and you butt heads for 5 minutes, don't hold a grudge with somebody for the rest of your life. Like, people butt heads, it's normal. So like, that's another thing. Like, people hold grudges. Like, that is so childish. We're not always all going to agree. We got to get over that stuff.
You got to let that go. I was holding on to that for so long that the people in South Dakota, I'm like, I'm going to show these people what's up. Like, I'm going to be the man. And then they're all going to be thinking, and number one, nobody's thinking about you. Nobody really cares. Nobody cares what you're doing whatsoever. And it got to a point where I came home and I saw those people. And like you said, I'm like, I already won. Like, I came out here and I have my like own life and I built my own thing. Like, that's enough. And when you can flip that, I mean, I resonate with you at a smaller level on a lot of this stuff, but it's like, once you can flip that page and realize how good you actually have it, it's like, everything is actually great. Like, let's just keep this up. And life is the lens that you choose to look through things. If you're negative, it's like, I'm picking out negative opportunities. If I'm in a bad attitude, I am seeking negative interactions. If I'm positive and I'm grateful, I am now drawing more good things like this to me.
Yeah.
It's all in energy.
Oh, 100%. And I think that one thing, though, is like, it's okay to have a chip on your shoulder, but not too long. Because, like, I definitely had that, I'm going to prove something, because after I got kicked out of that company, you don't think I had something I wanted to prove? 100%.
Oh, you were mad for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I just acted like I wasn't. Publicly, no. But then, like, on the phone, like, if I ever talked to him, it definitely was like, hey, actually, I literally took dude's car. Like, I was like, oh, you owe me money, so I'll take your Benz. Like, that's how it went. Like, I wasn't polite. But on the surface to the world, I wasn't gonna go like ruin their name.
Yeah.
But that fire is good. Just don't let it consume you. Be kind to everyone else, and be kind to the world. No hold any grudges, but definitely get justice. So I would say that part. But the nicest part, though, once you get that out of your system, like I won, I succeeded, I always did the right thing. It was like, hey, you know what? I'm always going to speak highly of everyone in my organization and say there is anything that ever happens, you separate from somebody in business, never badmouth them, but definitely always get justice.
What would you say to somebody that's living in trauma similar to what you had, and they live with that still today, and they can't get over it? Like that's in the back of their head, like that hate that fuels them, and they can't let that piece of their life go. How would you tell somebody in layman's term to get on?
It depends on what it is, right? If it's a personal or professional trauma, that's one way. But if it's a personal life trauma that's related to an event or an experience that could be traumatizing, literally, I can't always give advice on that. I think the realistic way is like you have to be self-aware and you have to understand like that life has a meaning and it has purpose, and even no matter how hard things are, like there is a reason that you're on this planet. And one sad thing is that we all are gonna deal with the one thing we fear always. It's to lose somebody we love, or to lose a part of ourselves. And at some point, we're either gonna go blind, or gonna have a kidney or cancer, or whatever. At some point, we're all gonna have something happen. So you never know when. So you just always have to live appreciative and grateful for what you have. And in the event that something happens, you know that pain is only temporary. Like that is the best advice I could give, is that like pain is literally, no matter what I promise you, like it's just gonna happen for a moment. Like life can't be shitty forever. It literally can be as short as you think it is. Like if you want your pain to be short term, change the way you think.
And you have to get through it too. Like there's this guy named Ed Milet, and he inspired me to start this, if I'm being totally honest. He's about 50 years old. He's worth
I'm familiar.
Yeah, he's worth a few $100 million now. But he just posted a video today. He was like crying in his car, and I knew he had humble beginnings. But he basically said, I was at this gas station, and I haven't come to this gas station in 20 years because 20 years ago, I had $6 in my name. My wife's car was just getting repossessed, and I had to decide on whether I was going to spend $3 on food and $3 on gas, or all the money on gas to get to Laguna Beach for the meeting. And you look at somebody and you assume that they've just always been successful and they've never gone through that pain. You're like, how could I possibly be what that person is? And what they failed to realize is that person that you are admiring, they just didn't fall there. They've gone through great deals of discomfort, great deals of pain, great deals of failure. They've failed more than anybody you probably know. They've been told no more than anybody you probably know. But if you can't get past that, you will never get to that better version of yourself.
100%. I mean, definitely get told no a lot, and you always have to understand that, like, even when you get to that next chapter, you still feel like you aren't who you want to be. Like, there's the new version of me changes every day.
It's never enough.
Yeah, like and not in a greed way. Like, I'm not looking for money, right? It's more like I want to be more fit. I want to be more disciplined. I have so many things I want to set up before I get married, before I have kids, and when I do have that, like, what does that look like? Where do I want to, really settle down in life? Like, that's the crazy thing. I'm 31 now, so it's like maybe I'm a little old. But I started thinking about, like, the next chapter of, like, what is – I feel like I've been an entrepreneur forever because it's all I've done for, like, 10 years. Now I'm literally, like, thinking about retirement. Like, what do I want to do next? Because it's like I'm at a point now where I'm like just thinking about a family one day, and that's when you really got to start working on yourself.
I find it alarming to everybody listening how many people I know who are 31 who are on the verge of retiring. I'm not there yet. I'm 29, but we're gonna get there. You and Lance, you guys are like, what am I gonna do with the rest of my life? And I'm like, I don't know. Go to the beach, hang out.
I don't think that's possible.
I know you can't turn it off. Like that's a good driving force. Like if you just shut that off and you no longer are achieving. David Goggins, he's a psychopath, but he says if I'm not grinding myself into a fine dust, like I am no more. I'm not Goggins. So that's just part of your DNA for achievers. Like it's just you always have to achieve, and it's all about the legacy. We have such a finite life. What is 70, 80 years in the span of eternity? It's like that. It's like the legacy. What did you leave behind? What people did you help? What systems did you put in place? And for you, it's like I had all this bad shit that happened to me in my family. how do I make sure that the next generation of my family doesn't go through this and they think about things differently? I mean, you changed the genetic code for how your kids are going to think about life. And that's the biggest thing right there is you took the pain and you faced your demons head on. So now your kids do not have to do that.
No, that's all I ever wanted. That's all I ever thought about. And I think at the end of the day, like, that's why also I don't see myself becoming like this, like CEO of like a Fortune 100 company, right? I see myself in this chapter of I want to like build something great and sell it when it's about to become that, and then spend the rest of my days really just working with individuals that have brilliant ideas that just don't have access to the right resources to bring them to life. Like, I want to be what I wanted when I was young. Like, I couldn't find that person early enough. Now I have those people, and I'm so thankful. My investors, my mentors, everybody I have on my board, like across all my businesses, like literally, like couldn't do this without them. But the thing I want to be now is I want to be what they were for me to that next chapter, but younger. So I work with a program. It's called Startup Foundation, and it's a leading innovation program. So everyone from Gary Vee, Seth Godin, Tom Bellew, they've all worked with these kids, and it's called Startup Foundations Indiana. Don Wettrick, he's a TED resident, great friend of mine. So I sit on the board, and literally now I have a chance to work with high school kids and help them to create the ideas of the future. Like, they've had patents, they've been to Google. Like, this classroom is just remarkable.
Exceptional kids.
Yeah, so like my thing is like, man, I can't wait to like get through my levels of success and then take my capital, invest it literally in youth. Nobody's ever built a venture fund for youth. I like want to do that.
That's the definition of being selfless and living outside yourself, and I think that's an amazing legacy. I mean, I don't think that's anything short of amazing. So, man, this has been a good talk. This show is called The Weekly Intention. So something that I like to do is I like to leave a weekly intention. How can I change my consciousness and my awareness through daily and weekly intentions to consistently get better? You've gave us so many good nuggets to go away, but if you were to just impart like one final thing of wisdom on somebody that somebody could take right now and execute on tomorrow to start to make a positive change based on all of your experiences, what would that be?
I would say immediately take control of your day, and this is going to help every single one of us. Right when you wake up, drink water immediately, and then do not look at your phone. Do not at all. I don't care if you got to wake up earlier. If you didn't wake up from 7 to 7:30 and you woke up at 7:30, then like you couldn't possibly be missing anything. You would have been asleep. So wake up at 7 and take 7 to 7:30 or whatever time it is, 30 extra minutes, and just take your time to go for a drive. Listen to your favorite song. Listen to something that can make you more self-aware, educate you. Just take 30 minutes to take control of your day, learn something, open your mind, or just sit in silence, but take 30 minutes that are your part of your day that nobody else can interrupt. Start it and take that energy and run through your day with it, and don't let anybody interrupt it, and see how long you can go for, right? And then the second that energy gets interrupted, figure out why it happened and who it was. And if it's the same person every day, or if it's the same time every day, you know that person, that thing needs to change in your life, and typically it means you need to get rid of it. So just do that and go through your day and measure your happiness streaks, and I really think it'll help you change your life.
Change your days, change your life. Mic drop on that one. Man, this has been awesome. I want to plug your business here because obviously I want people to find Ease. Yeah. If they were going to find your business, Ease, where would they go?
So the best way to find Ease is just to type in itsease.com. So itsease.com, or search Life with Ease. That's our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anything, and you'll be able to find the stories we tell and the things we do, because what we basically do is we work with a lot of high-growth businesses and help them find the best talent in America. So you can submit a job description, and in seconds, you can have the best candidate in the world to help you grow your business.
That's how you find them. This has been awesome. This is Michael with The Weekly Intention. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, share, subscribe it, whatever. Going to be putting this on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, pretty much anywhere you can watch or hear this. So we're doing these. I'm trying to do this every week, maybe bi-weekly, depending on the staff. But I'm always trying to bring people like Nathan, people who have had massive levels of success in their life, that have gone through things, that can break it down in digestible ways for you guys to learn and grow from. And that is why it's called The Weekly Intention. So appreciate it. Appreciate your time, dude.
Thank you so much, my man.
Take care, guys.